Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Lisa Apolinski, the authority on authority power and AI dubbed the digital dominance strategist. And I am beyond excited for my guest, Betsy Tong. So, Betsy and I connected several months ago, and I follow her LinkedIn content every single day. I comment on it, I read it, I absorb it. It resonates with me, not just because I am working on authority as Betsy has done over and over and over again, but I am a corporate refugee. Let's call it that. And the similarities in the experiences that Betsy shares just absolutely it's relevant, it's relatable, and it is resounding the advice and expertise and authority that Betsy brings to the conversation. And Betsy, thank you so much for being on. This is amazing. And
Thank
I
you.
don't know, yeah, and I don't know the last time you AI'd yourself. I AI'd you this morning,
Uh-huh.
and you are the authority architect. Let me read you, let me read you there's a
Yeah,
whole
how
bunch of
fabulous.
stuff. Yeah, and I know that's not really a verb, but I'm making it up. You help executive leaders build structured authority, and as a former tech executive, you apply the same systemic approach to people and businesses that want to get from thought to action. That's
That
pretty
is
slick,
really freaking good.
right? I
Yeah.
love it. I absolutely love it. So, if anyone is watching who hasn't followed Betsy, is not reviewing her content, hasn't bought one of her five best-selling international books, go do it. Go do it right now, please. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. So before we started, we talked about what we want to talk about since there are so many avenues that we can pursue
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And I love your idea of how do you move from corporate into having your own business and setting up your authority to make that bridge, if we're going to do the architecture
hmm
analogy, make that bridge solid and stable. I want to hear your origin story when you left the Fortune 500 world and moved into your own business.
So when I left Fortune 500 world, I left Intel. And so, my whole life has been for the last 25 years in big tech. And I've had the amazing privilege of taking a company that's going to the right and making it turn around and go to the left. And so, at Lenovo built out a services business. It's a hardware company. At Symantec built out an appliance business. It's a software company. At Intel built out a solutions company. It's an ingredients company, so it doesn't know
Right.
from solutions, right? Uh, and and you know, again, it's been pretty phenomenal. And these businesses went from zero to hundreds of millions. So my whole life has been about examining how do you build business and what does it really take versus what people think it does, right? Um, and when I left Intel, I thought, well, now's the time for me to do my own thing and to start my own startup. And so I did. And so in the first few months, I was sort of looking around and trying to figure it out. And I ended up finding some partners and working with a direct to consumer business that did got to 12 million in under a year. And so I'm telling you this because one of the critical things that I know from building business is it doesn't matter how good your idea is. It matters if you can get the distribution and that revenue engine going. And most people don't understand that. I mean, crazily enough, like, yes, a business is to make money. And so that business did phenomenally well. And then my mom got terminal cancer. And so I sort of stopped everything and spent the last 4 to 6 months of her life. I say 6 months, but it was really four because I wanted to be longer. Taking care of her and my dad well before she passed away. And then COVID hit. And then I ended up going back into working for another a boutique startup company and selling consulting services, and was fat, dumb, and happy in that role. Not great at it, but they were paying me and it wasn't hard. And so I was on the, oh, I'll just be here till I retire bus.
Right.
And then they got sold to a PE company that merged us with an um, offshoring engineering contract work. And then they said, Betsy, you're going to start cold calling and doing cold call lead gen, which doesn't work for the way that I know how to work. I mean,
Right.
I automated my job in a way that they didn't know. And so I was done with work. Um, After like not very long every day. Like I'm embarrassed to tell you. And I was terrible at it because cold call lead gen for consulting is not terribly effective. Um, and so they decided that I was expensive for cold call lead gen. I agreed, and then we parted. And so then that is what started me down. That's a long story, but that is really what started me down the path of where I am now. And one of the things that I've learned through my own journey, as well as helping 40 other executives making the same transition is when you start, you still think like a big company executive, as if
Oh,
you
yeah.
have the team and the infrastructure and everything has to be big. I start, I say everything has to be the smallest increment because it's the domino, the tiniest domino that eventually hits big, but you can't be effective when you're working solo in the same way that you were when you had a big team. That's just basic, right? The
Right.
second thing that is really critical is, we are so trained to have everything perfect and to build the business case and pre-wire 47 times, right? Just to get everybody's input in before we go. And
Yeah.
when you are a solopreneur, going is better than not going. Um,
Yes.
and so I have a client who, we started working together, and within I think it was 2 months. Like she kept saying, well, I need to work on my website. I need to work on this. I said, no, you don't need to
Yeah.
do any of those things. You need to get your distribution going. You need to talk to people. And she took my advice and and it wasn't because I'm brilliant, but because she actually had a great contact list and then was able to close a 90K retainer in for 2 months after retiring, right? But it is not because her offer was so amazing. She didn't even have a website. She didn't even refresh her LinkedIn. It really was about getting her contact list activated. And so then that leads
Right.
me to the next point. By the way, feel free to interrupt me if I'm going on, I'm not making sense. But the next thing is that I find is so many of us do not ask. I drove $100,000 in 100 days and got 1.3 million impressions on my LinkedIn. Again, not because I'm the best at it, not because I'm like some magical person, but because I asked, right? On my
Right.
LinkedIn, if I had a post that was doing well and was specific to people that I felt would resonate with my message, I would put a little link at the bottom that said, if you need help with this, book time with me. And that meant 4 or 5 people booked every week, and I closed one or two of them. And when you are a solopreneur and you're starting out, that, like, come on,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you take advantage of that?
Yeah.
Um,
And I want to just interrupt for a second. So you said a
I'm going
couple
to
of
let you get a
things
word
that,
in edgewise.
thank you. No. So you said a couple of things I think are really key. And it's hilarious that you and I have similar conversations, even though we have very different right fit clients, very different.
Yeah,
We encounter the same problems. Number
always.
one, the as soon as conundrum. As soon as my website's up, as soon as my book's launched, as soon as my headshots are done, as and what I tell my clients when they're like, "Oh, I have to create my logo," or "Oh, I have to do my website," my comment is always, "Do you think that the logo is driving the yes? Do you think that the website alone is driving the yes? So if you don't have
Exactly.
a logo, someone's not going to hire you?"
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's number one. And then the other thing that you said, and I thought it was so funny that, and you talked about how she didn't have an offer. She didn't have a website. And I had a flashback. My first three clients, I had no website. I don't even think I had my email set up. I certainly didn't have an offer.
Did you have a
Uh,
payment link?
I didn't even have that. I took a
See?
check. I mean, I showed
Check.
up, if you remember those days,
Barely.
2012, I
Yeah.
was I
Yeah.
was sitting having a conversation with another vendor. A former colleague came up and I said, "Hey, I'm starting my business. I'm part-time now at this institution." And he was like, "Oh my God, you have to help us at ours." Made the introduction. I used my personal Gmail account and I went over and I had a conversation and I was like, "What do you need to what's the problem you have?" So I didn't have any like locked in, I have hammer, must hit nail,
Yeah.
and had a conversation, listened to it and said, "Well, if I were your marketing director, I would do this, this, and this." And
Yep.
she went, "Perfect. How much would that be?" And I'm
Yep.
like, "Let me get back to you." And I hate to say it, I made up a price, probably way too low. And she went, "That's great." And then I showed up and she wrote me a check and handed it to me. And I was on my way. And my
Yeah.
first 3 months, I think I sold like 30 or $40,000 worth of work back in 2012.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. But I
Wonderful.
also had no idea what I was doing. And I'm just like, meh, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, and look, that is the power of recognizing that, especially, look, the advantage that we have, the advantage we have, which is not small, is the experience we've had, the people we know, the judgment we've developed, right? And
Right.
when and you, where I go with my clients is how do you package that into a method so that you're not just talking about your history, which just says you were there when something happens. You're
Right.
talking about exactly how you did it and why that gives leverage, acceleration, reduced risk, or reduced cost to your ideal client, right? And
Yes.
most people when they start also say, well, you know, when you're a corporate executive, you get paid for range. And so most people, the first thing they say to me, well, I'm a problem solver. I'm like, okay,
Okay. Yeah.
that means absolutely nothing. I hate
Yeah.
to burst your bubble, but
Yeah.
you need to tell me what problem you specifically solve, in what context, in what circumstance, and how you tell me that you're going to be able to solve my problem
That's
based on
right.
what you've done. Because
That's right.
when we hire for the 32 millimeter drill bit for the 32 millimeter hole that we want. We do not hire for the entire case of the toolbox. By the way, I'm now out of my depth in terms of tool names, but we don't want the entire toolbox when we just need the drill bit, right?
Right.
But we forget this all the time when we're out there. Um,
Absolutely.
and then I want to go
Absolutely.
back because this came up yesterday in a call that I had with a client who is, I was about to swear, but I stopped myself. She is one of the foremost experts on risk assessment and risk avoidance, things like what do you do when catastrophe happens? What do you do when there are serious workplace violence? All of these things, right, that companies must protect themselves against and create huge liabilities. And she is one of the world's foremost experts. She has worked with Facebook, LinkedIn, Hyatt, you name a big brand, they have hired her. She told me, I have not raised my prices since I think she said 2012.
God.
Number one.
Ah,
Number two, then she told me what her price is. And I said, I nearly fell out of my seat. I'm like, first of all, the argument you need to be making is not your rate times hours, because this is a big mistake that we get into. We start to think a consultant is rate times hours. No, a consultant is priced based on the value you deliver. And for her, the value she delivers is reduced risk, reduced liability, reduced insurance rates. One of the companies that she worked for, their insurance liability went down by 25%. She charged like 1% of that. I mean, come on,
yeah.
nuts. Yeah. So,
Yeah. That's
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
all of these things are things that if you want to build a business based on your expertise, I help people work through.
Yeah. And and it's funny because I had a similar conversation with a client a couple days ago, and I'm not, a lot of the people we work with will rally and resist against doubling their rates. Okay,
Yeah,
raise it 20%. And think about it. If someone's going to pay you $1,000 to solve their problem that has been keeping them up at night, do you really think if it's 1,200, they're going to go, that's highway robbery? Absolutely not. No, they're going to say yes. You have to lean into that. And again, you don't have to, kill yourself or make yourself feel super uncomfortable. But 20%, it feels like a lot. But then when you do the math, you're like, it's not that much. It's really not that much. And if you
exactly.
do that over and over and over and over, you'll finally get to and I love how you talked about the consultants are rate times hour. They should be rate times results. That's the value that they bring, the results
Exactly.
that you create. And she's, and I love the fact that you're helping her understand that. And, I'm not in the business of creating content for my clients. I'm not in the business of helping them optimize their LinkedIn.
Hmm.
I'm in the business of having my client be the undisputed authority in their industry for the problem that they solve.
Yep.
That when the chips are down, when someone has an issue, they'll go, I need that person. And you know what doesn't happen during that conversation? They don't sit there and haggle on price. They don't sit there and say, well, what are your features and benefits? Those conversations don't happen. You know, and again, I'm going back to when I first started, I got a call from a client and we had an hour conversation and we were
Yeah.
going over different things, and I love talking. I love solving problems. I'm just like, I'll talk to you for an hour. La la la. I'll give it away. And had these long conversations about his structure and how much he's paying for marketing and how much his
Yeah.
revenue is. and
Yeah.
and then at the end of the hour I'm like, did you have a question? And he's like, yeah, am I paying too much for my marketing? And I'm like, yes, it should be this amount. Anything else? He was like, what? And I was like, what else can I do for you? And he was like, oh my God, I have to hire you. And I'm like, and I actually had to say, slow down. What are you hiring me for? Let's come up
Yeah.
with a scope. He was ready to just throw money at me, just toss it over.
Yeah.
Didn't talk about pricing, didn't talk about here's my methodology. It was just I solved a problem for him. He thought, oh my God, am I? And his marketing was like 15% of his revenue, it was something ungodly. And I was like, yeah, cut this, cut this, cut this, cut this, and
Yeah.
you'll still be okay. And he was like,
Yeah.
wow. And I saved that company year over year. It was like three or $400,000 a year. And again, I priced myself way too low. I think it was like I only charged like 3% of that. It was something stupid. But I was young.
Yeah.
I
You
didn't know
learn.
any better.
You
Yeah,
learn,
you
right?
learn.
I mean,
Yeah,
our job is not to win every deal. Our job is to win the right deals.
that's right.
Our job is to find the right buyers who understand that they need to pay for expertise, right?
That's right.
They have to understand that and have done it before because you do not like we are. I had another person who I talked to last year who I didn't end up working with because she was like, well, I'm starting a breathwork company. Fabulous. We all need to breathe. And and I want to convince people who don't understand the importance of breath work so we can sell to them. And I'm like,
Okay.
why the hell would you do that? It's hard enough to build a business effectively. Why not sell to the people who already believe in the power of breath work and are more likely to say yes to you? Like, don't go for the hard no, go for the easy one.
Go for the easy yes. Yeah, absolutely. And if you're having to convince them that breath work is important, you're losing all of that time and resources. That is
Oh my
not
God.
low-hanging fruit. My gosh. Yeah.
And there is tons of low-hanging fruit. 69 million businesses on LinkedIn. Do you not think there's at least five looking for you?
Right.
It's a little bit like being a hot dog vendor in a stadium. Somebody is going to want a hot dog.
That's
You
right.
just need to be there with the dogs.
Right. Right. And you can't be trying to convince person A to buy a hot dog when person B is like, hey, I need a hot dog over
Yeah.
here.
What's
Help
the
me.
point?
Right.
There's no point. There's no
Right.
point.
Yeah. So I posted something this morning because I was thinking about it, and it was based on something that you had posted like a week ago, I think. Where I had someone ask me, well, okay, so you're the authority on authority power. You have this very niche within a niche offering. I mean, I simplified the bejesus out of my business,
Yeah.
and I've been so much happier for it.
Oh
I
my God.
digress.
Yeah.
Oh
Hmm.
my gosh, yeah, just
Yeah.
so
What
much happier.
good housekeeping seal of approval right there. Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
So they asked, well, aren't you becoming the I have a hammer, I must hit a nail? And I was like, no, and this is why. When I have my and I know you don't necessarily like the term coffee chat. I just use it.
I
But
don't.
when I have my yeah, I know you don't. But when I have my 30-minute free consult call, which just sounds, I don't know, just I like to be a little more relaxed, and that's why I call it a virtual coffee chat because I want people to show up and just talk to me. I'm not here to sell. I'm not here to shove my wares down your throat. I want to hear about you and what you're struggling with. And my right fit clients, and I listen for this language, they say one of two things. They say, I spent all this money on marketing and I didn't get a damn thing for it. Bitch, 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 complain, complain, complain.
Yeah.
Or, and the new one, I don't understand. They hired that person and I have double the experience.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
a
I
bitter
hear
moment.
that, right. And I hear that within the first 5 minutes of the conversation. And I have a physical reaction to it. I shake my head and I kind of smile because I'm like, you're perfect for my program. And it makes my heart hurt that you went through this,
Yeah.
but there is a solution.
Yep.
The hammer and nail person is sitting there ready to pounce, waiting for the opportunity to sell. And it's a very different conversation. And I believe that the people you talk to know the difference. The question is, how are you showing up in that conversation? So when you're working with your clients, how do you prepare them for solving and listening versus wanting to just sell, 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 and being ready for those right fit clients?
Yeah, so most of my clients have that immediate yuck about sales and marketing, right? They just think they have in the mind, I don't want to, like, I've always been tapped on the shoulder. I've never had to ask, right? I'm going to be, so this is the Prince Charming is going to come find you syndrome thinking.
Yeah,
Or it's the, used car salesman or it's the Alex Hermosi emails you every 5 minutes with whatever the offer is once you get on his list. And by the way, he's brilliant. So, and he just made more than $30 million over the weekend. So you can't knock that either. But it doesn't work for the average human. It just
right,
doesn't.
right,
Neither extreme works for the average human. And then, the reason I hate coffee chats is not because I hate coffee chats, but it's because of when you start with that mentality that I don't want to sell myself, that means that you're in a coffee chat and you don't know why you're there. And you're just giving and giving and giving, and you never ask for your value. And you're not honoring what you need to be a business leader and to be a business owner, right? It's not that I hate coffee chats, and I do them all the time too, but I'm really clear on the purpose of why we're both there.
right,
And for me, it starts with saying, like, look, if there's a fit, I'm going to make an offer to you and I'm going to ask you for a decision. It's up to you whether you say yes or not, right? I'm not here to pitch you. But if I think you're right for me, I am going to tell you that this is what I can do for you. And they can say at that point, no. And so then I don't pitch them. Or I can listen to what they have to say about where they're at. And I decide, you know what? Not a good client for me, and then I don't pitch them. And so I don't think of these conversations as sell, sell, sell. I think of these as analytical moments and decisions. And it's a two-way street for both of
right,
you because we know based on the way we work and the dedication that we give to the people that we work with and the care that we give them, that it's got to be worth it for both of you, right?
right, right. Absolutely.
We're
And
not out here taking your money.
right, absolutely. And something that I'm gonna write a note and be more intentional on this, and thank you for this. So when I do these consult calls, I naturally go into coaching and I say, can I provide you with some feedback that I'm seeing that will absolutely move the needle like immediately? And they're like, absolutely. And I share that. What I should say, and I do say, when we work together, or if you choose to work with me, this is how our relationship will go. You will constantly be made a little bit uncomfortable, pushed a little bit outside of your limit, but you will get the results that have eluded you for a long time.
Yep,
What I need to say is, does that sound like something you'd be willing to invest in
exactly.
and do the ask? And I'm bad at that, and I have to get better at doing that.
It's
So,
just
yeah,
practice. It's
it's
just
just practice.
practice.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, part of what I do with the clients I work with is I have a brilliant buying script, and I call it a buying script, not a selling script, because it really is about finding those moments in the conversation by the way that you ask questions that are buying indicators, right? Um,
Yeah.
and again, belief that the investment is worth it is one of the biggest buying indicators out there. And that is not you saying, here's my 49.99 Ronco Peel, whatever, right?
Right.
It is part of the conversation and the chemistry that you build in that conversation.
Yes. Yes. And knowing that, and I like your idea of having, let's make a decision on this
Yes,
because in that moment they can decide, yeah, I can totally see myself working with you. And
that's right.
they can figure out the finances because they're a business owner, you know. There's a lot of ways to get to the finish line as far as I'm concerned in that
And
front.
if they choose not to invest in you, that's their decision, right?
Yeah,
And I think that we all pay with time or money.
that's right.
And and there's a huge, huge tax for ignorance. And so many people that probably you and I talk to, they've already spent 6, 9, 12, 18 months like figuring it out on their own or working
Right,
with the wrong people. And so, yeah, I get it. You don't want to spend one more dime, but dude, you've already spent that money. And if you
right,
don't spend the money doing it in the way that we know that we can achieve results with you. And again, you have to believe this, right? Because I'm not guaranteeing you results, but I know that what I do works. You're going to spend that money anyway. And
right.
so, what do you want to do? Spend time, spend money, continue to build the ignorance tax, or actually try to get yourself forward from your head to execution and you know, make accelerated moves because you can make more money always. You will never make more time. You will
That's
never
right.
make more time.
That's right. Yeah, and like you said, it's not just the money drain. It's you've just wasted 6 months, 9 months, 18 months with opportunities that could have accelerated you forward as the authority that
Yeah,
you've let go by the wayside because you're being penny wise and pound foolish in
1000%.
terms of all your resources, really.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to ask you your opinion about this money back guarantee. I had someone who had introduced me to a client. I can totally help them. Like you, I am not inexpensive because I'm worth it.
Exactly.
And
By the
and
way, I just want to note that you made a little joke about that because it is so hard to say. And I
yeah,
want to call you out on it and to tell you,
thank you.
don't make a
Yeah,
joke about it. It is
that's
not a
right.
joke. You are worth it.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. I am not cheap. And that's because people make money when they hire me.
Yeah.
You can ask a slew of former colleagues, former, my clients. And in fact, one of my former colleagues will tell you when I first met Lisa, I actually didn't like her and I didn't want to listen to her. And then she started making me a ton of money and my tune changed rapidly.
There you
I'm like,
go.
thank you so much.
There you go.
So I was being pressured, actually pressured to provide a money back guarantee. And I was like, I don't do that because I'm teaching you the foundational elements and the tools that I practice. I'm not on top of you making sure you're executing them the most optimal way possible
Yeah.
because you can take my teachings and only apply some or say, nah, I don't want to do this or go back to old, especially when the pressure's on, go back to old mindset and way of thinking and abandon what you've learned, which can happen when you start freaking out. And I've seen that before, but my clients will call me and I'll be like, stop that. Stick to the plan. So, how do you address that? Well, if you did a money back guarantee, I would think about hiring you. I'd love to hear your take on this. Like, how do you address that?
Yeah. So I do have a money back guarantee, and it happens in two places, right? Number one, there's a 48-hour cooling period that if you were on a call with me and you gave me your money, and then 48 hours later, you're like, what did I do? No harm, no foul, right?
Right.
Then the second thing that I do is, um, you know, you can quit at any time and I will give you back the prorated amount. I will not give you all of your money back. Because again, that's just not I don't think that that's the way I want to roll. But what I found in doing that is that you have to be really clear on the conditions. Because I
Yes.
had a woman who was part of, and this was a learning. Um, she she tried to get all of her money back and created a case with PayPal, which
God.
always sides with the buyer. And unfortunately for her, she kind of overwrote the case in saying that the content that I provided her was unusable. And so I uploaded into the PayPal case transcripts of 5 meetings, um, the book that I had given her, and the workbook, and everything else. And I said, she may not have found value in this, but there's no way this is unusual. And by the way, this is what the contract explicitly says. She is not owed 100% of her money back, and she signed the contract. And so ultimately, I won that case. So, but it goes to show you, you have to be really careful. Like, don't ever do a deal on a handshake. Always make sure the terms of separation are clear. This
Yes,
is why even if you are totally in love, you always do a prenup because you want to know what happens when the chips are down. And you
that's
want to
right.
make it as simple as possible. The second thing I will say is that for every deal I sell, I put a portion of that money aside into my don't stress about it fund. And so when I was in corporate, I used to have a FU fund, which is like whatever happens, like I can just go F you, right?
That's right.
And this is the don't stress about it fund. So there's always going to be something that happens with a client that you don't control. They forget to budget for your travel. They are short and can't pay you in that moment that you're expecting something. The don't stress about you fund is there for those moments, right?
Right.
And just like, okay, great, moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think you and I are of the same mindset. We're standing for their success.
Yeah,
We want to see them succeed. And sometimes people get in their own way.
we're
And
not
yeah,
responsible for their
we're not
success.
responsible. Yeah,
We are accountable for enabling them to the extent that they're willing to go.
that's right. That's right. And I love that. And I giggled a little because I had a client who said the content I provided was unusable. And I actually took screenshots because it was used exactly as I had provided on the website. No
Yeah,
edits, no changes, nothing. So you can't say the content was not usable and then
yeah,
proceed to use 100% of it exactly how it was written. Those two don't add up. And,
yeah,
thank God did not put a case against me, but was really like, I want all my money back. And I'm like, but you're using all of it,
yeah,
all of it. And I didn't even bill the full amount. I only billed half. I would have made more bagging groceries than what I made on that on
yeah,
that on that work. And
exactly.
I'm like, well, live and learn. And
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, what can you do? What can you do? Yeah,
It's part of business.
it is part of business. It is part of business. So if there's one thing you could tell the listeners right now, what would that be? If there's one thing you want them to leave with, just I want you to hold on to this, I want you to apply it, whatever that is, what would it be?
We know the world of work is changing. We know that for executives, it may take 52 weeks to find a commensurate position. We know those types of positions are getting rarer and rarer, and that where 10 years ago CEOs were embarrassed by layoffs, they're now like, look at how many people I laid off this quarter, right? It's like bragging rights now because of AI. And so, if there's nothing else you take away this. For you to have choices, you have to think about your options for the future and what opens the doors as opposed to staying in a comfort zone, which is me a few years ago thinking I'm on the few years before retirement bus. because that is not realistic anymore. And it doesn't mean go jump off a cliff. It means just sort of thinking about the smallest steps that you can take that sort of get you to a bigger surface area of opportunity. Like, what are those things?
Yes, I love that. And if someone wants to connect with you, have a conversation, hire you, what's the best
Mhm.
way for them to do that?
LinkedIn is the easiest way for to find me. And then on my LinkedIn, there is a book an appointment, and I'd love to talk to you.
Awesome.
And
I
again,
love that.
we'll decide whether I'm a fit and you're a fit for me.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Don't just book a call to have a chat, have an intention to it. Always use your time accordingly. I love that. Betsy, thank
Exactly.
you so much. This was an amazing conversation, and I even got a little coaching out of it. And I have to start applying some great things. And like you said, just own my worth
Yeah,
and make the ask.
totally.
Own my
Totally.
worth, make the ask.
Hmm.
Because if you don't ask,
You never get.
you never get. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to everybody listening. And again, make the ask. And one thing I would leave you with is in order to make the ask, you have to understand what your area of genius is. You can't say, I'm a problem solver. People don't hire that. People will not hire that. Or if they do, they'll want to charge by the hour, and it will not be the kind of relationship and the kind of engagement that brings you joy and puts your fun meter on max. I am all
Exactly.
about picking clients where you look at the calendar and go, I'm so excited to talk to this person today. Because when you have the exact opposite, and I know you've had those, Betsy, because I've had
Hmm.
those too, where you're like,
Yep.
oh no, no. And
Not
and
this
you
one.
you almost want to have a drink with you just so you can get through the call.
Yeah.
Your life is too short.
Yeah.
Life is too short to not enjoy every engagement that you can.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why
Exactly.
you can't have that because you can
Exactly.
work and have fun. Those don't have to be
A
separate.
1000%. I
Yeah.
built a business for great people to talk to, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. And I built a business to help people find that area of genius and turn their authority power on so that everyone can see them and that they have the life that they want.
Right on.
So, yeah, I love it. Well, thank you, and we'll talk to you next time.